Welcome to another edition of Crime News with Mark Solomon. It's Thursday, September 16, 2021, and breaking news, Alex Murdaugh has turned himself in to authorities on the insurance scam. Let's see what happened. But before we get to that, don't forget to click like on the video. It's really important, and subscribe with a little bell next to it if you're enjoying these videos and you want to see more. Click those buttons, especially the like. Don't forget the like button. So let's talk about this. Yesterday, I got a comment from Jarek Beats talking about the South Carolina law enforcement is holding its warrants in abeyance. That means that they're not sending him out yet. And he's asking this as a question, and he makes the comment, if this was you or me, we would have been arrested and booked by now. Well, guess what? That has happened. The warrants did go out, and when that happens, he was, I suppose, pulled out of his rehab and turned himself in today. Let's take a look at the news on that. Here it is. Alex Murdaugh expected to turn himself in Thursday. It's the subject of multiple investigations in South Carolina. Here's the main headlines for this morning. He turned himself in on the botched murder. Lawyer says he's going to turn himself in. And over here, South Carolina lawyer who allegedly botched the $10 million life insurance scheme to turn himself into authorities. That was 5 hours ago. However, that has now happened. South Carolina lawyer turns himself into authorities, and this is 12:41 p.m. East Coast time. And here we go. This is just sort of the newest revelation after my yesterday video on this. He was accused of arranging his own death earlier this month to try to get his son a $10 million life insurance payout. Now, from what I understand from other sources, the man who was hired to commit the assisted suicide has already admitted that that's what he was doing. That's what he was hired to do. And that's pretty much also corroborated by Alex Murdaugh's own lawyer, who also admitted it. Now, look at this. He said the warrant was issued on Wednesday on a charge of conspiracy to commit insurance fraud. The alleged shooter, Curtis Edward Smith, charged with the assisted suicide, insurance fraud, and other counts, they said in a statement. Here's a good... Well, he's smiling in this one. I don't think he's going to be smiling too much more. According to this, Murdaugh gave Smith the gun to kill him and followed Murdaugh to the old road, firing one shot at the lawyer who stood on the road, an agent said in a sworn statement, but that bullet only grazed his head. Now, according to the original reports, it was a through-and-through gunshot, but then we heard no injuries at all. This sounds a little bit more likely. Murdaugh wanted Smith to kill him so that his surviving son would get the $10 million on the life insurance policy, the agent said in their arrest warrant. Interestingly, attorneys for Murdaugh said he had been struggling for a long-time addiction to opiates, wanted to end his life. In a statement provided to CBS News, the attorney Dick Harpootlian and Jim Griffin said, and I'm just going to read this, on September 4, it became clear that Alex believed that ending his life was the only option. Today, he knows that's not true. For the last 20 years, there had been many people feeding his addiction to opioids, and during that time, these individuals took advantage of his addiction and his ability to pay substantial funds for illegal drugs. One of those individuals took advantage of his mental illness and agreed to take Alex's life by shooting him in the head. Fortunately, Alex was not killed by the gunshot wound. Murdaugh is fully cooperating with the investigation, and he's not without fault, and we're going to leave that part there. Smith drove off. Part of what I think is really interesting here is that and I've had a comment from a viewer or two, that in regards to Curtis Edward Smith, and I say if, it was so easy for Murdaugh to find this guy to commit a killing for money or for whatever things that Murdaugh offered him. I don't know the details of that, but if it was so easy for him to find somebody to kill a human being himself, what's the stretch that maybe this guy also might have been involved in the killing of Murdaugh's wife and son back in June? I wonder that. And if I'm wondering that, I wonder if anybody else is. And so when you look at that type of connection, you just ask somebody to kill another human being, even though it is the person asking, was this guy Curtis Smith involved in the killing of his wife and son months ago, or not? Or maybe he got somebody else to do that. I don't know either, but this certainly raises that huge question. And I would be surprised if law enforcement wasn't wondering the same thing. So, along with the killings of Maggie and Paul Murdaugh, the state law enforcement is investigating the missing money, whether anybody tried to obstruct an investigation into a 2019 boat crash. And so they are looking even more into him. Now, there was one other article I just wanted to go through really fast. The judge in Hampton County set his bond at $55,000. He is set for a 4 p.m. hearing today. And we'll find out what happens this afternoon. And until then, I just wanted to say, I don't know if I could get any more crazier details than are happening naturally in this case. So that's what I've got for you this morning. If you have any thoughts, feelings, questions, love to hear them in the comments. And until then, thank you so much for watching. Check back again tomorrow. Great video on Lori Vallow.